I call Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to speak on the Social Security Stopping Benefit Payments for Offenders Who Repeatedly Fail to Comply with Community Sentences Amendment Bill. Mr Speaker, the Green Party wholeheartedly opposes this bill, and I share the sentiments of my Labour colleague of what a waste of this House's time this bill is, and the issues facing the Social Services Select Committee. This should not be taking up our time. Like so much legislation introduced by this government, this bill is more about image than it is about content, and certainly more than it is about care. This bill promises to give the Department of Corrections the power to instruct the Ministry of Social Development to stop benefits to people who have been sentenced to community-based sentences who may have failed to comply with the terms of that sentence, or who have failed, but that will be determined by a parole officer if there are reasonable or unreasonable grounds, according to this legislation, when they would otherwise be decided by a judge. This puts court decisions in the hands of parole officers. It is changing the basis of the way our legal system works, I would argue. And it also puts in place a double sentence. So somebody who fails to comply, who is in paid work, will not get their paid work taken away from them, but it is going to take away the ability to feed themselves for people who are beneficiaries. And I really want to just address how misnamed this bill is as a social security bill, because we have to recognise that social security, the point of it is that we have a safety net through which no one can fall. That we are not living in Victorian times when there was a concept of only the deserving were able to have an income. Because we had learnt as a society that when we only have those basics provided to people that we believe deserve them, that we all suffer. That we end up with people committing crimes to be able to feed themselves. We end up with more people on the street. What this bill does is another deep attack on our social security system. It is bringing back Victorian values into our society, and it is completely unworthy of this House and our time. I really want to recognise as well that, so there was the comment that made before of, well, these are people who have offended, they've committed crimes. I want to point out other people who have committed crimes and offended who are put in prison, they are given a warm roof over their head and 3 meals a day. Because we recognise as a society that it would be inhumane for that not to happen. And we have prison inspectorate systems set up to try and enforce that, because we recognise that as a society, all of us are less human when other people are treated inhumanely in our care. Well, why should those who are sent to prison be given more protections than these people? When we take away people's right to an income, we put every single thing in their life at risk, and we force them into places where they have no other choices. And that destabilises our entire society. The Green Party wants no part of this. And I would recognise this is a government who has characterised beneficiaries as work shy, baby factories, bad parents, drug takers, criminals. Even this government wouldn't support this bill as their own. That is how bad this piece of legislation is. I'm very sorry, Mark Mitchell. I quite liked you. But this bill is rubbish, and the Greens will not be supporting it.
Order. I'm going to call Matt Ducey. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Feeling slightly uncomfortable in the middle of something there. Can I pleasure to rise in support of my colleague Mark Mitchell on his bill, the